Maya, the Queen of Thieves. Chapter 7. The forest seemed huge and quiet. Maya felt extremely alone and isolated. She jumped as a branch snapped. Her head jerked towards the direction of the sound and saw a bird flying away. Maya took a shaky breath in and exhaled. The sun was directly behind her.
How long have I been wandering in the woods? I need to search for a safe place to stay for the night.
Maya walked deeper into the forest, not knowing where she was going. Her stomach growled as the sun disappeared behind the thick jungle of trees.
All the warning signs were there. Everything makes sense now.
She thought back to the times Prince Zeth avoided her touch.
He must have found out the engagement was final around that time.
Maya remembered the time their hands touched while reaching for a bowl of blueberries under the cherry blossom tree. Prince Zeth's hand recoiled when they touched.
Maybe this is all my fault. I was the one who pushed forward while he retreated.
An angry and hurt voice echoed loudly in her head.
He could have at least told me he was engaged. I would have distanced myself from him too. Maybe that's why he didn't tell me.
A softer voice responded sadly.
I need to focus on surviving. Prince Zeth is safely living in a palace while I'm out here, fighting for my life.
An angry tear trickled down her cheek.
Prince Zeth is an asshole.
She spotted a big tree ahead with many small branches and 4 large armed branches. Maya stumbled towards the tree as dusk arrived. She felt fatigued and weak from hunger. She struggled to pull herself up to the first big arm. A branch broke as she grabbed a hold of it, but she caught herself on another branch. She eventually collapsed, placing her back against the solid tree sitting on the lowest large branch.
Nothing should be able to get me from here.
Maya thought, looking down at the ground. The forest quickly darkened as a cold wind blew in.
This is what I get for trusting Zeth. He never cared for me. He was playing a game and I lost. My name is ruined. I'll never be able to see my family again.
An image of the last meal Maya had with her family popped into her head. Henry and Emily avoided eating Abby's stew. Her father used the bread to suck up the liquid in the stew. Will copied Henry and successfully stole a cookie from the platter without Abby noticing. Mary loved the stew and asked for seconds. Hannah, Maya's oldest half-sister, read a book quietly at the table while breaking off pieces of bread. Sabrina, her youngest sister, sat in Abby's lap making a mess playing with the bread. Abby tried to clean the mess on the table, but Sabrina created an even bigger mess as she excitedly waved her little arms and knocked some stew out of a bowl. Angus handed Sabrina a cooled carrot from his stew, which she began gnawing at. Angus was fond of Sabrina.
I'm sorry, Father.
Tears began falling down Maya's cheeks.
It looks like I won't make it home for Christmas. If I even make it to Christmas, let alone the next couple days.
Another voice sadly admitted.
My father warned me about Prince Zeth. That's why he gave me money to buy the frying pan. I'm such a fool.
Maya pulled her knees to her chest and buried her head while silently crying, listening to owls hooting and wolves howling from afar.
Stupid Zeth and Princess Tanya are probably dancing together at the ball right now, eating warm shortcakes with wine, not having a care in the world.
Maya's stomach grumbled from hunger. Maya breathed out a sad, laughing sigh.
Matilda and Elizabeth tried warning me about Zeth also. I was so blind and stupid. So many people advised me about the type of man Prince Zeth was. Even Prince Zeth was trying to protect me by distancing himself. I threw caution to the wind. This is what I get for not listening. I have no one to blame but myself.
A stronger breeze made Maya shiver. She sat up, resting her head against the tree, and wrapped her hands into her chest to keep warm. The cold breeze kept Maya shivering throughout the night. She hardly slept and exhaustedly waited for dawn to arrive. As dawn slowly approached, she dazedly climbed down the tree. A twig gave way, and she fell to the ground. Maya lied on the ground for a few minutes, feeling lightheaded and feeble.
I'm so tired and I feel so weak. I could lie here and sleep face down in the dirt.
Her stomach gurgled.
I need to find some water and food.
She unsteadily lifted herself to a standing position and trekked forward, not knowing where to go. Maya missed the comforts of home. She missed her nice warm bed, taking a bath, and getting a hot meal whenever she wanted. An image of her family eating breakfast together popped in her head. Then a sudden image of Zeth kissing Maya popped in her head.
This will be our secret.
Prince Zeth tenderly kissed her.
Do you honestly think the prince would be interested in you? He had his fun, and now he is done with you. We are announcing our engagement.
Princess Tanya's beautifully cold-hearted face popped into Maya's mind.
Zeth, you're such a jerk.
Maya screamed in frustration.
No. There's no time for that.
A commanding voice spoke.
We need to find food and shelter. The sun is high in the sky, and we only have so much time before it gets dark again.
Maya nodded her head and sniffled, continuing to travel forward. She wandered for a few more hours.
What's that sound? Water?
Maya felt hopeful, approaching the noise and saw a long, beautiful stream. The stream was shallow and only 4 feet wide, but was flowing well. She tumbled to the stream and dropped to her knees. Maya had a small smile on her face as she cupped the flowing water in her hands and drank. The water felt so smooth as it slid down her parched throat. Maya sat for a few minutes observing the gorgeous scenery. The sun shone through the trees onto the flowing stream.
It's like someone kept chopping down trees to make a path for the stream.
Maya observed amusedly. Either way, she had water. A noisy flying bird drew Maya's attention. It was hovering over a bush and snatched a beetle. Maya looked more closely at the bush.
Wait. Are those blackberries?
Dazed, she clumsily rose to her feet and jumped over the stream. Her left foot missed the dry land and landed into the stream. She ignored her wet foot and moved towards the berry bush. Maya spotted a deer nearby eating the blackberries. The deer ran away as Maya neared. There was a cluster of blackberry bushes right next to the flowing water. Maya watched as a bird flew away with a berry in its beak. She carefully picked a blackberry and plopped it in her mouth. The blackberry tasted really sweet and juicy. Maya hastily picked more blackberries, eating them. She stuffed her face till her stomach stopped growling. Satisfied and relieved, Maya began looking around. There were plenty of rocks near the stream. Across from the stream, Maya spotted a small boulder. The rock seemed out of place in a big forest. There were a lot of branches on the ground in front of the human-sized rock.
Maybe I can sharpen a stick to make a spear.
Maya thought, observing all the branches. She leaped over the stream and headed towards the boulder. She found a nice thick branch and started sharpening it with nearby rocks. After she created her wooden spear, she quickly piled some rocks around branches in front of the boulder, next to the stream. She worked tirelessly, trying to start a fire. Her father's voice rang in her head.
A good trick to make a strong fire is to gather dry brush nearby, like hay. It may take some time for a spark to hit, but be patient. Eventually, a spark will fly on the dry brush.
Maya was about to give up on starting a fire when a good spark finally hit the brush she gathered. Maya quickly cupped her hands to keep the breeze from blowing out her spark and added a few tiny branches. She placed some thicker branches in the fire pit as the fire grew. A very strong fire was going as dusk approached. She rested her back against the boulder and watched the flames dance as nightfall approached. Maya fell asleep to a quieted mind in a peaceful state, watching the flames dance. A low growl woke Maya from her sleep. Her eyes opened wide and she saw a snarling wolf about 5 feet from her. Her hands were trembling with fear as she snatched her sharpened stick. She grabbed a fist-sized rock and threw it at the wolf. The rock missed and the wolf slowly continued stepping towards her. She quickly rose to her feet, pointing the stick at the wolf. Another wolf appeared from her right.
I can't take both of them on.
Maya thought frantically. She quickly jumped and grabbed a sturdy branch from a nearby tree as the wolves lunged. One wolf clamped down on her leg and bit hard. Maya let out a scream and kicked it off with her other foot. She raised herself up on the thick tree branch where the wolves couldn't reach her. Her leg was searing in pain. She quickly looked at it and could see blood dripping down where the wolf bit her. She ripped part of her dress and used it as a bandage to wrap her wound. She flinched and cried out in pain as she put pressure on her leg to stop the bleeding. Maya's fire died out during the night. The wolves continued circling the tree she was in till dawn. They left as the sun began rising. She went without much sleep that night and her leg throbbed in pain. After what felt like an eternity, she looked at her leg. Her leg was getting worse. She climbed down from the tree and was forced to jump. She cried out in pain as she landed on her bad leg and collapsed to the ground.
It hurts to put any weight on it.
She cringed in agony. Maya slowly crawled to the stream and flipped herself around to soak her leg in the water. She started screaming and howling as water flowed over her wound. The pain was devastating. Her wound was getting infected.
So this is how I'm going to die. In the woods? Alone. Where no one can find me.
She chuckled in disbelief as a tear slid down her cheek. She lay on her back, letting the stream go over her wound, staring up at the trees. She could feel a flood of tears running down her cheeks. She was going to die. This was it. It hurt too much to move. She could feel herself fading away, blacking out. A kick of a rock woke her up. She was still laying on her back with the sun high in the sky. She was too exhausted to turn and look at what was making the noise. She closed her eyes and felt warm tears stain her cheeks.
This is it.
She thought, thinking of her family. A shadow blocked out the sun and she opened her eyes. Standing above her was a beautiful blonde-haired man. He looked like an angel with the halo of the sun above him. All she could do was look up dumbfoundedly. His lips were moving, but she couldn't hear anything. She could feel herself fading again.
I must be dreaming. This must be what it feels like when you die. It is nice and peaceful.
Maya fell in and out of consciousness. When she woke again, she felt herself being carried. She looked up and briefly saw the blonde man carrying her before blacking out again. Maya awoke for a third time and found herself in a tent with her leg bandaged. She went back to sleep. By the time she woke up, it was nightfall and the flames of the campfire outside were dancing. She could hear voices talking and laughing.
Welcome back.
She heard a voice from beside her. Maya turned her head and spotted the blonde-haired man she saw in the woods.
You must be hungry.
Maya quickly sat up and instantly felt dizzy. She began falling back to a lying position. The blonde-hair guy quickly caught her before she collapsed and supported her with strong arms.
Careful.
He wrapped an arm around her back.
You're lucky I found you when I did.
He handed her a warm bowl of broth, still supporting her.
Lucky. I don't feel very lucky.
She could feel a heavy weight on her shoulders. She could feel silent tears trickling down her cheeks as she drank the broth.
Thank you.
She sadly said as she handed the empty bowl to him. The world seemed cruel and uncaring to Maya. Szeth didn't love her. Princess Tanya and Prince Szeth kicked her out of Zarth, and she brought shame to her family by sleeping with Prince Szeth. Matilda and her team could easily replace her, and she had a wolf bite to deal with.
There isn't a place for me in the world.
She thought darkly.
Why are you being so kind to me?
She asked, peering into his eyes.
I could never leave anyone in that condition.
He stared earnestly at her.
Especially in your condition.
What is with this man? Does he actually want to help me? What does he have to gain from helping me?
She could feel herself getting lost in his eyes. She abruptly broke eye contact as pain seared through her leg. She glanced at her injured leg.
I owe you my life.
She sighed depressingly.
You owe me nothing.
He interjected. She looked back at him. His gaze was fierce.
I want to help you.
He seems similar to Aslar.
An image of Aslar's handsome face and glowing blonde hair popped into her head. She believed him. She could feel relief as tears fell down her cheeks.
Thank you.
She looked away, hiding her tears and wiping her eyes. He put his hand on her head. Instantly, she got a warm feeling of Aslar. This guy reminded her of Aslar. Not exactly the same, but she knew she could trust him.
My name is Cole.
He leaned forward to look at her. Maya looked back and sniffled.
Maya.
She said weakly.
Nice to meet you, Maya.
Cole smiled at her.
He has a gorgeous smile.
Maya felt at ease.
I know you just woke up and might feel a little weak, but do you think you can stand?
Maya stared at her leg, nodded her head and slowly lifted herself up. Cole caught her as she started falling.
You can lean on me.
He put her arm around his shoulder.
I want to take you to see a friend of mine. She can heal you much better than I can. Her name is Kalina, and she is very kind-hearted. I think you will like her.
Maya tried putting weight on her injured foot and almost collapsed to the ground. It still hurt badly.
Is it okay if I carry you? It will be faster and less painful.
Maya nodded, and Cole easily lifted her into his arms. She put her arms around his neck as he carried her out the tent.
I'll be back in a few hours.
He told his crew and walked past the bonfire.
Sure thing.
A crew member replied. Cole helped Maya get up on a horse and they rode to seek Kalina. Cole stopped in front of a large portcullis.
State your business.
A guard from behind the steel gate appeared.
I am here to see Kalina Hendrickson.
Cole climbed down from the horse.
My friend is not well, and I need Kalina to see her.
I did not know it was you, sir.
The guard apologetically nodded his head.
Open the gate!
He shouted to another guard above. Maya heard the clanking of metal as the portcullis rose.
I'll be leaving in a little bit.
Cole told the guard.
Yes, sir.
He nodded as Cole walked past. Maya grimaced as Cole walked his horse into the dark, isolated town. Her leg was throbbing in pain.
We're here.
He looked up at Maya as the horse stopped. Maya focused on her shaky breathing to deal with the pain.
Stay on the horse, Maya.
Cole tied the reins to a wood railing. Maya watched as he walked up a few steps and knocked on a door. A minute later, the door opened with a dim light shining from behind. A young woman answered the door.
Cole.
She gasped.
I'm sorry for my late visit.
Cole apologized.
Would you please help my friend, Maya?
Cole led Kalina to his horse.
Hello? Maya, is it?
Kalina cautiously stepped towards Maya. Maya shook her head weakly.
May I?
Kalina spotted Maya's injured leg. Maya nodded her head again. Kalina carefully removed the bandaging as Maya hissed in pain.
We need to get her inside.
Kalina urgently looked up at Cole.
Come on, Maya.
Cole gently carried her from the horse into Kalina's dimly lit house.
Sit her on that chair.
Kalina commanded as she closed the door behind them. Cole gently set Maya down.
I am going to assist Kalina. Will you be fine here on your own?
Maya glanced up into Cole's brown eyes and nodded yes.
Call us if you need us.
Cole quickly disappeared into the other room. Maya glanced down at her injured leg. It was swollen, red, and drainage was coming out from the shredded bite marks. It didn't look good. Her leg throbbed any time she moved it. Maya drew her attention to her surroundings, trying to distract herself. A fireplace sat lit. From her left, a dining table sparkled under a glistening chandelier. An oil lantern was lit from the opposing side of the room. The room smelt like mint and lavender, along with the burning smell from the lantern. 2 lit candles illuminated a bookshelf directly behind Maya.
Whoa, this place is more elegant than Matilda's.
Maya spotted a large red rug in front of her with a wooden bucket. Kalina appeared with a small tray and Cole poured warm water into the bucket. Kalina quickly placed a handful of sliced lemons in the water, along with mint and lavender petals. Cole scooted Maya's chair in front of the bucket and rug.
This may sting a little.
Kalina carefully grabbed Maya's injured leg and placed it in the warm water. Maya hissed as the water touched her open wound.
Here, drink this.
Kalina handed Maya a mug. Maya sniffed the mug and grimaced.
What is it?
She cringed.
Whiskey.
Kalina said seriously.
You are going to need it. This will help you deal with the pain.
Maya shook her head and held her breath. She quickly swallowed the whiskey. The whiskey burned, traveling down her throat.
Cole, go get the kettle. It should be ready now.
She grabbed a mug from her tray. Kalina handed the mug to Maya and took the whiskey mug.
This has water with a sliced lemon.
Maya chugged that as well without hesitation. Cole returned with a few towels and the kettle pot. Kalina took the kettle from him and squeezed 2 lemons into it. She placed some fine powder into it as well.
All right.
Kalina grabbed the kettle with hand cloths.
This is really going to hurt Maya, but this will stop the infection.
Cole stood next to Maya and gave her a thick piece of wood.
Bite on this.
He instructed. Maya nervously put the wood in her mouth. Cole sat down on the floor and lifted Maya's leg so the wound faced upward. Kalina quickly started pouring the water from the kettle onto the open wound. Maya screamed in agony and bit down on the wood. Her hands grasped the sides of the chair. Cole firmly held onto Maya's leg so she couldn't move away.
Please let this be done. It hurts.
Her leg felt like it was on fire and throbbing at the same time.
This will be over soon.
Kalina's voice was calming as she concentrated on pouring the remaining water over Maya's wound. Maya could feel tears streaming down her cheeks. The pain was sharp, then moved to a burning sting. Kalina put the empty kettle down and picked up another one.
This is warm water to rinse off the lemon and mint I poured over your wound.
Kalina told Maya as she slowly poured the water over her laceration. The second water didn't cause pain like the first one. It still hurt, but Maya didn't flinch or hiss in agony. Kalina quickly put the second tea kettle down as soon as the water was gone.
This is honey.
She held up a pot and spoon with gold liquid slowly dropping into the bowl.
This will soothe the pain and help the healing process.
Kalina carefully spread honey over Maya's wounded leg and placed new clean bandages over her wound to cover it.
Let's help her to her room.
She looked up at Cole. Cole gracefully picked Maya up and followed Kalina to a dimly lit room. There was a burning candle on a dressing table. Maya spotted a bed against the other side of the room. Cole gently set Maya down on the bed.
Get some rest, Maya.
Cole peered down at her.
I will be back in a couple weeks to check on you. You are in good hands.
Thank you, Cole.
Maya weakly glanced up at him.
You're welcome, Maya.
He gave her a warm smile.
I'll help you clean up before I go.
He walked over to Kalina.
Thank you.
She gently kissed him on the lips. Both Maya and Kalina watched Cole walk out the room. Kalina shut the door and walked over to a dresser to grab a white nightgown.
Are you and Cole?
Maya questioned.
Yes.
Kalina gave Maya a warm smile as she walked over to her.
We have known each other since we were kids.
She helped Maya take off her clothes so she was left in her undergarments.
We are engaged.
She seemed giddy.
You are the only one who knows.
She put the nightgown over Maya's head. Maya put both arms through the sleeves.
Oh, I will keep your secret. Congratulations.
Maya's head appeared through the nightgown.
When are you planning on getting married?
We don't know yet.
Kalina sighed.
Well, I'm happy for you both.
Maya smiled.
We will talk more in the morning, Maya.
Kalina pulled back the sheets for Maya. Maya carefully scooted into the sheets as Kalina tucked her in.
Thank you for helping me, Kalina.
Maya looked up at her seriously.
You're welcome, Maya.
Kalina stared down at her.
It will be nice to have someone else in the house with me.
Kalina walked over to the candle and blew it out.
Get some sleep.
She opened the door.
I will come check on you in the morning.
Good night, Kalina.
Maya said tiredly.
Good night, Maya.
Kalina slowly closed the door behind her. The room was completely dark and Maya was exhausted. She hadn't received much sleep for the past few nights and quickly fell asleep.